Hello and welcome to ACS Golf in this week's review. I'm looking at this, the Callaway Epic Start CF17 from 2017. Now, the reason I'm looking at this is because I've always wanted to try the Star range from Callaway. So if you've never heard of it before, it's a sort of souped up, well, I wouldn't say souped up, but sort of adjusted clubs where they take their normal clubs. In this case, it's the iron, so the normal Callaway Epic iron CF17 from 2017, and then they adjust it, make them lighter, and basically make them into the sort of powerhouse to really help slower swing speeds, with the idea that you can still get really good distance even though you're not swinging as fast as anyone else out there. And so I really fancied having a go, see what it's like, see how it feels, see what distances I get, and see possibly if, anyone else can try it. If someone out there who has a normal swing speed or even a quick swing speed but needs good forgiveness and really just wants to get loads of distance out there, maximum distance, if they could possibly have a look at this, even though it's not necessarily aimed at them. So there you go. There's a reasoning behind why I picked this up this week. So as always, we'll have a closer look at it, go through all the technology that's in here. Obviously Callaway, there's going to be a lot. Then we'll get down to driving range, throw some figures at you, and then we'll get back to the ACS golf scale and discuss, obviously go through that, and then discuss at the end of it if I think, the normal sort of golfer such as myself can use this, or if it should really be kept for, those people with the slower swing speeds. So there you go. Now, before we have a quite closer look at this club, do remember to subscribe to the channel, guys. If you like these videos and you want to keep on seeing reviews every Sunday, remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you do not miss out. Now, let's have a closer look at this club. So there you go, a closer look at the club. To be honest, I think that looks absolutely gorgeous. I am a massive fan of like matte black clubs. I definitely think it looks a lot better than the original Epic line. Black and gold, you can't go wrong there. Obviously the little silver there, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Now let's get straight into the technology that's in here. So remember, this is based on the Epic range that was released in 2017, but they've just tweaked it. So just remember that when I go through all this technology. So at the heart of the Epic Star Iron is a unique body design that Callaway calls Exo Cage. It's a framework from stainless steel that stiffens the body and attaches to a 360-degree cup face. So there you go. At its thinnest point, the hitting surface is 1 mm thick, designed to broaden the sweet spot and deliver more ball speed. The cup face also protects speed on off-centered hits, so missed hits can be more playable. So there you go. That's the whole point of that. Sounds perfect already, doesn't it? Now, between the body and the face, design is positioned a metal injection mold weight. It is made of tungsten and steel powders heated to form a solid piece of metal that can be precisely molded. Very nice. The weight fits inside the head and can be made differently for each iron. So the idea of a bit of a progression set there, moving the weight around to give the forgiveness of what you need per iron, which is good. The weight fits inside the head and can be made differently for each iron, which I mentioned, which enables the engineers to shift the center of gravity down in the long irons to produce a higher launch. There you go. Angle, and move it up in the short irons for better control. So there you go, that sort of progression set there. Now, this is where it gets slightly interesting. So the lofts in the Epic Star irons are slightly stronger than the lofts in the standard Epic irons. The clubs are also longer. These factored along with the standard 55-gram Mitsubishi Rayon Grand, never going to get this right, Basara graphite shaft should help slower swing speeds players get more distance. And there you go, and this is exactly what's in here, the Grand Basara Mitsubishi Chemical 55 Flex Light. Very nice looking club, to be honest. I love the shaft, I love the look of it. And there you go. So they've even increased the lofts a little bit to get that more distance. Now, The Epic lofts, so the normal irons here, about 30, which for a game improvement iron is normal. Couldn't find what the loft is actually for these, so I can imagine if they're a little bit stronger, I would say probably 28, maybe 27. So obviously ramp that up with the idea to help you get even more distance. But then obviously you have that mold in there that helps increase launch for your, let's be honest, extremely strong long iron. So really good with all the technology in there. They really had a thought about it to produce an iron that hopefully will perform just as good as it looks. So with that in mind, let's get down to the range, and then we'll come throw some numbers at you, sorry, and then we'll come back here and we'll go through the ACS golf scale. Okay.
So here I am down at the range. Now let's jump straight into those figures. So on average, 170 yards carry, 179 total distance, 122 miles per hour ball speed, 15 degrees launch, and a height of 72 feet. One thing that I would say that I really found with this club is the consistency with it. You can see a majority of these pictures that the ball flight's very similar, which is great because that's one thing you need with a sort of forgiving game improvement iron like this. Also, the stopping distance, because I was getting such height on it, even though it was a 6 iron and really quite a strong lofted 6 iron, which I was surprised with the height, it meant that I had good stopping distance, even though clearly these game improvement irons, they do spin less, but to get you that maximum distance, because of obviously the flight that they create, you still get some stopping power. So having that 170, carry, but then stopping 179, so only 9 yards of roll, really happy with that with a 6 iron. Also, out the middle, I was getting this thing flying. I mean, I was getting 192 total distance is the longest one, 127 miles per hour ball speed when I was really going for it. So very happy with it.
So there you go. Some really good numbers, to be fair. And for something that's super sort of a game improvement with light shaft, etc. Sort of what I was expecting. 179 on average total distance for the 6 iron here. Normally for me, sort of between 170 to 175, depending on what I'm using. So happy with that. To get a couple up to around that 190 mark as well. Ball speed 122 miles an hour, really happy with that, and 127 maxed out as well. So happy. But what I really realised with this, and what obviously I mentioned as well, is a bullfight. So high for a 6 iron, obviously to get that distance, really high. On average, is only 9 yards rollout. So carry was 170, and then total distance 179. So only 9 yards rollout. Because the height of this, it just really did with the shaft and lighten the weight, obviously, of it as well, and the flex really did pop it up in the air beautifully, so that it did have some stopping power. Because let's be honest, with a lower loft like this, you're not going to get much spin. You tend not to get the spin with game improvement irons, but the idea is obviously they increase the flight of the ball, so you don't need to spin because it comes up so high that it should stop quicker. So really impressed with that. To be fair, I was quite shocked by it. I will say though, if you're a stiff user, because I normally use stiff shafts, trying to use a Flex Light 55 gram Mitsubishi shaft here, graphite, I struggled, absolutely struggled. So many times I topped the ball where the flex just flexed so much that the ball, the shaft wasn't straight, and I just topped it because I just wasn't getting wouldn't get the right flex on it. Basically, just so flexible. Which just made life very difficult. So most of the time I put it off the tee because then I could actually hit it well and it get the ball in the right position. So flex for me, no go. If you're stiff, don't play with flex light. There you go. I mean, obviously everyone would guess that already watching this, but still, there you go. So, but anyway, moving on, forgetting that and just looking at what the iron is. Distance-wise on the ACS golf scale, so remember 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. Distance 4.5 I going off on average. It is a rocket ship. If you put a stiff in this thing would fly. Maybe not necessarily get the height you got with obviously this lighter shafted, but then you can get lighter stiff flex shafts, especially sort of in graphite. So you put that in there, this thing could become an absolute rocket ship. Really could. I mean, the fact that they've obviously increased, I mean, the Epic itself, is game improvement iron, long iron, and the fact that they've increased that loft, moved the weight around, etc., to really make distance a big thing for it for slow swing speeds. I think if you got the right shaft in here, this thing could just fly. So 4.5 out of 5 distance, really, really impressed with it when it came down to that. Feel, nothing to really report, nothing to say bad, nothing to say great. 2.5 out of 5, very middle level. You know, it is a chunky game improvement iron, as you can see there. Could I tell where I missed off the middle of the face? No, not necessarily. Not really much feedback from it. Felt strong, don't get me wrong. Felt powerful, but not really the feedback sort of I'd be looking for myself. You know, I'd rather know where I hit the ball on the club face, etc. So feel 2.5 out of 5. Just nothing to report really. It is what it is. Looks, for me, I've given this a very nice 3.5 out of 5. The reason I haven't given it a 4 is I personally like my irons a little bit more slimmer. I've actually got new irons that are about to go in the bag. You can just see, look at the chunkiness compared to that. so there you go. And so it's just, for me, just a little bit chunky. So 3.5 out of 5. And also I would have preferred if it was black the whole way through, having the silver face. I know why they've done it, obviously, because black faces, they do rub off quite easily. But yeah, I would have preferred that black as well, rather than the silver there. But 3.5 out of 5. It is a good looking club, personally. I do like it. So now we'll leave price to the last, because I'm not going to lie, it is going to be a sticking point for anyone watching this. So let's get on to forgiveness first. Forgiveness, 4 out of 5. It's a game improvement iron. It's bigger, it's chunkier than your normal irons. There's a really good level of forgiveness in there. So forgiveness, 4 out of 5. Exactly what I'd expect from this sort of game improvement iron. So nothing really to report from, you know. I think when it comes down to the test of this, and if there's any sort of mishits, you know, I mean, there's one that went down to 117 ball speed, so that's 5 below the 122. That for me is definitely just down to just the flex of the shaft. I mean, I probably really missed the ball, probably no, with the flex. So nothing on the club. Very good forgiveness, 4 out of 5. So there you go. Now, on to the sticking point. Now, if you've watched my channel before, I review new, old clubs, etc. that I think are good deals. This, it's gone against everything about this channel, because I just don't think it's a good deal. 1 out of 5 for cost. 1 out of 5. That is so bad. It's not even funny, really. I mean, you're going to struggle to come across these anyway, especially 2017 one here. But I mean, one I saw on eBay, looking 7 to gap wedge, fine, £430, around that $50 mark. That's not that bad, to be fair. I don't mind that. Pitch, you know, you're getting a 5 to pitching wedge, I managed to see for just under £400, just under that $500 mark. Again, that's not that bad, but again, it is a 2017 club. There's other options out there from 2017 which might not help as much for a slower swing speed, but can definitely be good. And then we get to the real sticking point, which I've given it a 1 out of 5. So, like I said, it's difficult to find these. Now, I found these actually for sale over in the US in the Callaway pre-owned section. So they have their own little website. A lot of the time, I personally feel like looking at it, they're quite overpriced. You know, if you look at them and then say second-hand golf shop like over here, Golf Bidder, you'll find that Golf Bidder is actually cheaper. So I do find them slightly overpriced, and this is why it's getting a 1 out of 5, because I don't know where these prices came from. I don't know if they were drunk when they did it, but what the hell. I mean, these were expensive when they first came out. I think they're around £200 a stick, £300 a stick when they first came out. So they were really expensive when they came out. When you sort of go, well, hold on, this is pretty much just an Epic that you've slightly tuned. Why have you, you know, all right, graphic shafts are a little bit more expensive than steel, but why have you flexed the price so much? But on the Callaway pre-owned site, where they say the conditions average, so it wasn't even great condition or brand new, 4 to gap wedge. Here we go. 100, well, sorry, no, £914. That's UK pounds, £914 for 2017 club. It's not in great state. It's average condition. And the US, that was 1,000, because I can't even believe it myself. I'm getting it wrong. $1,143. What? What? Go and get yourself fitted for brand new irons for that cost. That is crazy. 7 pitching wedge I saw there was, I don't know where they're getting the pricing from. 7 pitching wedge there was £500, so around 6 to 8. All right, yes, it's half thick irons. 7 sand wedge was £731 and just under $914. It is crazy. Absolutely mad. 1 out of 5 for price, because I'm not going to go get yourself fitted. Get yourself fitted for brand new Wilson Staff irons, game improvement, big chunky. You can get lightweight steel shafts in there, or even get graphite in there for like 500, 600 pounds. Look online. If you're slower swing speed, you can get secondhand Uniflex golf irons. There's so many options out there to save money. I just can't believe they're trying to get away with that, to be honest. Now, let's discuss the club in whole. Let's move away from the price, because I'm still in shock, to be honest. I mean, I actually picked this up for £15 over here in the UK. I feel like I should keep it as a collector's item with the price of everything else. I tell you, mad, absolutely mad. But anyway, let's move on to what I generally think about the iron, and if I think someone could play it if they had a faster swing speed. So, generally about the iron, I think it's great. I think Callaway are very good at what they do. I think they've obviously tuned it extremely well for that slower swing speed. So I think, if you manage to somehow come across it as like 200, 300 quid or something like that, I think they're a great set of irons if you're that slower swing speed. And I think you'll get some really good distance out of it compared to other things out there in the market. Do I think you could put a stiff shaft in here and get some serious distance? I do. I think you could get some great distance with a stiff shaft. My only worry would be with it being so low spinning and so, so low lofted, that the issue would be that perhaps you put a stiff shaft in there, and obviously the way they set it up for a light shaft, you might not get the ball flight from it that this club really needs to get that ball stopping on the green. So this thing could still be going absolutely miles, but you might not have that control to get it to stop on the green, and it might just roll off. That's my one issue with it if you were looking to put a sort of stiff shaft in there. But overall, lovely club, enjoyed hitting it, but I would never pay that price for it. I would go and get myself fitted for new Wilson Staff irons if I needed that sort of slower swing speed, or I'd be looking in the second-hand market. If you had $1,000 to spend, for crying out loud, go get yourself a second-hand set, with A-Flex in it or whatever, then go and get yourself a driver and a putter as well. It's crazy, crazy money. We're talking for a club from 2017. That's 5 years old. So yeah, bit of a shock for you at the end there. But there you go. There's a review of the Callaway Epic Star CF17 iron. Interesting. So if you liked this video, do remember to give it a like. Now, do comment down below if you think it's worth paying $1,000, sorry, for this club. Or £1,000. Let me know in the comments below if you think it's worth it, or you think Callaway pre-owned are having a bit of a shocker there. And do remember, as I mentioned before, do subscribe to the channel so you do not miss any upcoming reviews that are going to be coming out every Sunday. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.